Hello folks, brew here, and this is another standard versus session. Just one game before sideboarding, but it's an interesting matchup in my opinion. And this time I'll be presenting to you a spicy brew. Basically me in the corner on the Amaket playmat, I'll be piloting Abzan, Rallier, Midrange. So basically it's a super friend stack. I'm testing whether I need hard to cure in there or not, so this is a version without those. My friend is still fixing the deck and soon to be shuffling it up a little bit, but he's on the sort of classic black-green aggro, which is not the energy build, but the one with advocates and nieces in it, so a bit of a heavier version. More value based instead of just energy based. And yeah, Rallier is pretty spicy in that Abzan deck, so you get all the good removals for all kinds of threats, and you have Oath of Nissa and some other ways to actually dig and switch on Rallier. And then with Rallier you can basically return back all those dig spells and sometimes even remove those. And, for example, the Concoction, basically your standard format Seal of Doom, so to speak. And it can answer at instant speed the Hard to Cure, and it can answer the Sahili Felidary combo, just flash flyers and etc. Just recurring removal. And yes, you have to discard the cards to activate it, but it's not that bad. So you have to switch on Delirium for a few things, and also you basically chain those concoctions and other oaths and stuff so that you always have something to return back. So it helps with that. Liliana is pretty good in this deck, as in many Delirium decks. Here it's mainly just to return Rallier or Advocate or Singleton Felidar. In the sideboard you have an array of value 6 drops, some special creatures, and in the sideboard you have more Planeswalkers. I don't run that many in this deck because, well, you don't want your deck to be super heavy, but you can always, in a slow matchup, sideboard some removal or some dig spells in favor of extra Planeswalkers just to have more value in the mid game and just more threats compared to their amount of answers, for example. And playing 25 lands in that deck, in the Abzan one, so you could potentially go down to 24, but I'm not sure. You have so many mana sinks and so many different ways to just use mana and between manlands and dig spells and planeswalkers and so on, so you don't really regret drawing a lot of lands unless you really become flooded. It's better than getting mana screwed in this deck because all the land drops are so vital, you can't really miss any land drops in that type of deck. So I let him start, so we didn't roll the dice, but I wanted to draw with that hand, plus he was ready once I continued. So a couple of manlands from both sides. He turned to his Sylvan Advocate, which is a fine start. Very good if you can follow it up with Rishkar. I just passed the turn after playing the Marsh. He wanted to attack with the Advocate, response Fatal Push, so that's gone. And then he casts another Advocate and just passes. That's fine. Luckily it's not like a snake, meaning that if it doesn't get removed it doesn't really snowball too much. So now casting the Sinister Concoction, so I have basically Seal of Doom in play, so I can kill his guy instant speed by eating that enchantment. because I'll have to discard. So basically I was thinking whether I wouldn't save up the activation for next turn so that in one turn I could sacrifice Concoction and Revolt Rallier and bring back the Concoction. So yeah, he basically tapped out his mana to attack with the Advocate and the Quagmire, indicating that his draws were not that good, maybe a bit too interactive or something like that. I decided to eat the land with Concoction here, because why not? There's a good chance that I would have some good draws to address Advocate. So I discarded the Forest, milled the Aver Hub, which is not that bad because I think I drew quite a few lands this game. Dropped the Plains, now thinking what to do here. That's Oath of Liliana, which I think I had in my turn before, so that wasn't a draw for the turn. That deals with the Advocate, and then my next turn follow-up Planeswalker Liliana could net me some stuff, and also a zombie of the Wolf. So I could minus Lily here to bring back Rallier or something like that, for example. Because he wasn't really doing anything, so decided to drop Kalitas first, because he doesn't know about Liliana. If he would play, I don't know, a Ballista or something, I could just, get a net zombie off of Kalitas, plus it just uses my mana the best way. So he had, unfortunately, a Grasp of Darkness to answer Kalitas. I was thinking about Giselle also in this deck, but difference between toughness 3 and 4 is actually pretty big, even though you have still Grasp of Darkness, but Kalitas just does much more for this deck, I think, but I wouldn't blame people for trying out Gisela or something like that in the main deck or in the sideboard. You need all the life gain, because you have Black Hulk and Linvala in the sideboard, and second Sorin also in the sideboard. But between Concoction and Unmaking, you lose quite a bit of life, so you do want to buy back that. Liliana, actually, I decided to just use my turn efficiently and bring back an Advocate, which get answered by his Fatal Push. End of turn, get a zombie 1/2/2 token from the Oath, play the Quagmire, and then play the Hulk, just to, have something sizable. It could possibly eat the Liliana. I have only Shambling Vent, not a Quagmire of my own, so I can't really eat it. And blocking against it is not that great because the Hulk has Trample. And now decided to attack with the zombie token. It's kind of a trap because I had a Rallier in my hand that would bring back a Concoction and kill the Hulk. The thing is that I could not, protect Liliana really without removal. Yet another land for me, thinking of what's in my bin actually. I think it's my last card in my hand, which is the Rallier that I just drew for the turn. I think now, or the turn before. So I have a Shambling Net, but that's not enough, even though I plussed Lily on the Hulk. So Hulk is now, what I believe, 6/7, but that's still enough to eat Liliana away. Because I had one card, so he might try to play around stuff, and that's actually what happened. I think he decided to animate his Quagmire and attack with both to Liliana, just to be on the safe side. So even if I kill the Hulk... Oh yeah, so he decided to play, I believe, a top deck Advocate first, and then animate Quagmire and attack both to Lily, which is fine, because that basically saves me 4 points of damage. And I'm not sure. Basically, if I was him, there is a chance that I would just maybe attack face with both. But then again, he knows that I have Rallier in my graveyard, which with certain circumstances just with whatever with evolving wells can activate revolt, and that brings Rallier and concoction back, so then he loses the Hulk. But I think I would attack face with both because I'm at 17. I can't really block that well. I would have to, I don't know, jump maybe with the Vans or just take a shitload of damage. So I was very happy with his choice here. Now I just top decked Unmaking and using it on the Hulk straight away because I wasn't sure whether he had the Blossoming defense in his deck or not. Turns out he does not, but I didn't know about that until later that game because he told me, and just makes much sense. I don't think there would have been a better target on his turn than the Hulk, which was an 8/8, so yeah, I still have just a Rallier in my hand. 2/2 zombie, possibly Chum blocking Advocate or the land. 6 mana Ballista for free, just in case if I would, decide to animate Vance that I had left up, then he could kill it actually before it blocks, or in the blocks, for example. Probably in the blocks, if I would be dumb enough to do that. I saw that, so I just took 4 damage, I believe, falling down to 10. He's still at 18. But I have so many good draws, while he's practically hellbent. Of course, Ballista represents 3 points of damage. But I still technically have 2 blockers. So the situation is not that worse, even if I would brick here. I'm not sure, but I think that turn I bricked, possibly drawing a land. Or it seems not, so tapping some mana for something here. Martian a hub. Yeah, I think by this point I have something like a 1 energy left. I think I used 1 hub by now. I'm not sure, because I think I had 2 in play here by now. Well, anyway, so there is a growth that's an enchant land that cycles. I float a green off of the hub that it enchants, sacrificed it, cast Rallier that brought back possibly Concoction, but then I was thinking, like, do I want to actually do that? Because I'm hellbent. I think I was hellbent, and Concoction actually requires, I know, this was the, so I drew Advocate, which I played out from my hand. Now I'm actually thinking whether I want this Concoction or not, because I need to discard a card, and I didn't want to discard this Advocate. And of course next turn it will be sweet, but with so many lands in play, so I changed my mind and decided that Rallier would bring back another Advocate. This way I get a much better board, no matter what. Of course I could draw a land off the top next turn, and then Concoction is good, but then what is it killing? So it kills Advocate. But this way I think I defend myself much better. Because I might as well just draw something that I wouldn't want to discard again, and then just play it, and then Concoction would just hang in there without doing much. Because this is a test game, so I'm trying to make the best decisions possible. We're not timed. Well, technically, we were in a way, because we had to run to go to another city, I think to meet friends and play some Magic, something like that. Oh yeah, because he's gonna stay at the friend's place there and then play a standard PPTQ, I think, during this weekend. So I don't know. I love this Abzan deck. I'm not sure if I need Heart to Kieran in that deck. Maybe. Because it's still good. But the problem is that everybody's gonna hate on that so much post sideboard. But then again, I can always just buy it back with the Rallier. And the Rallier is convenient enough to actually I mean, be able to create up. Soaring plus because my board is pretty good unless he draws removal and removal. Soaring drew off of Nisa, cast it, so putting it somewhere so that you can actually notice it. Top 3, I think that oath just netted me a land only. I just saw, I think, 2 spells. Or, no, I think a spell and the enchantment, like another concoction. But oath can't grab it. That's why you play actually Vassal in this deck. That can grab almost anything in your deck. Sorin not me another zombie token from the oath. Besides, it's plus Sorin because he's not really, I mean, if I minus him on anything, then he can shoot it down with Ballista. And as it stands, even with 2 activations, he can't shoot it down. And I have a board so that if he actually shoots down Sorin, then he has a much weaker board than I do, then I can start attacking. Because I still have that Shambling Vent. So he's now thinking how to disrupt counters on this Gear Hulk. Basically, he wants to put at least 1 for the Advocate, so that he can go past my advocates, but then he explained to me also that while we were playing, that actually 2 counters made more sense because then you have to, I had to double block it and stuff like that. And then he probably wanted to put at least one on the Hulk so that it could also go through advocates, and then remaining, what is it, 2 on the Ballista so that it could potentially, shoot down Advocate or Soaring, stuff like that. Basically, the way I saw it, because I was tapped out with my shields down. Let's say he puts 2 on the Ballista. He could have, aided to eat both tokens and the Rallier. Just 2, 2, 2. Then I'm left with 2 advocates. Then he has, Hulk at 5 and 5, 5, and advocate as a 6, 7. Then let's say attack both to Sorin. Then in order to keep it alive, I'll have to jump with an advocate and I'll be left off with 1 advocate. And I don't think I'll be able to kick him on the crackback. Basically, I would, if I decide not to block and fall down to, what is it, 6? I don't know, fall down to 4. No, he couldn't attack with the Hulk. What am I talking about? So, because it's just freshly made. So, yeah, so what I'm describing is not really the best line of play, but it's available. So, and also because his advocate will have Vigilance. Yeah, and I think eating all my 2 toughness guys is a valid strategy. Because then attack just with advocate to something. Alternatively, of course, he could wait. And, no, his Ballista was on 3 counters. Right, yeah. So by adding 2, no, he was, it was on 4. Yeah, so he decided to add 2. Yeah, so now it's 6. So it's all valid. Attacking with just this 1 advocate is actually a freebie, kinda. I think. Because then if he doesn't like my blocks while it's blocked, he can, you know, shoot down something with ballista. But he wants to keep soaring off, kind of down ticket at least somehow for a little bit. Even though I'm at 10, but I have way too many blockers and he has no flyers. But yeah, I'm not sure. I possibly would have maybe attacked face here. I don't know, it's all so close. It's a very interesting situation. He has ballista at 6, so I'm virtually at 4 at this moment. But he can't get this final damage through somehow. And yeah, in this type of games against slower black-green aggro, Advocate is just amazing. Of course, it dies to push, but you can always bring it back and stuff. And when the board stalls, you're very happy that you play Advocates in your Abzan, even though this archetype doesn't really exist. But I think it should. Just play all the best cards, you have so much synergy, so much value. So what happened is that I blocked with everybody, just not to mess around. He shut down, I think, one of the Advocates or something like that with ballista, putting it down to 1. And yeah, his Advocate is dead. My both Advocates are dead. And I'm pretty happy with this situation because once I get to stabilize, it's actually fine. So drew an Advocate off of Sorin during my turn. A replacement one, so to speak. Still in the game. Now I'm not afraid of ballista because he can double activate it next turn. But then he's really losing to my board. I drew another unmaking for his Hulk. Going down to 7 is a bit tricky here, but he already used up most of the charge in his ballista. I can start to go on the offensive a little bit, because if I wait for too long, he maybe can draw out of this. But with active soaring now, it's kind of really hard to lose. He can of course draw a Ruinous Path, that's what he's been praying for a few turns now. But even if he does that, I'm out grinding him pretty heavily. His draws were not amazing, but not super horrible either. He had stuff to do, because you can draw much better with this deck. I'm talking about snakes and the reach card as well, so this could have been a much different game if he could curve out perfectly. But if he did, well, I had also removal going on and Advocates and stuff like that, so I had some blockers. So yeah, it could have been a much heavier board stall in my opinion. So he didn't block the tokens, so he's now at 11. I'm not sure what happened there. Perhaps a push for an Advocate. I think that's what happened. He's still just waiting and trying to do stuff. Soaring drew just a land this time. But yeah, Soaring is a legit win condition now here, even without ultimating it. Just drawing extra cards and hoping to do some damage. Even if it's lands, it just cleans up my top decks. He has a Quagmire out there still, but no good blocks as of yet, so he took the damage. Falling down to 7, I still have 2 blockers. I still have that Shambling Band that I have been sandbagging and not exposing as of yet. Any Planeswalker is a good draw for me because that means a token. Any dig spell is good. Just basically need to draw any non-lands here. In this mid-range matchups, this Abzan deck really shines. You basically don't have dead cards, and just so much value. Every non-land is total gas. Of course, when you don't draw any ways to activate your vault, it kind of sucks, and then you draw Rallier, but then you can always try to attack and suicide something into their guys, and then you get whatever back with the Rallier. Don't remember what I drew. I think it was just another land off of the Sorin, which is kind of sad, but eventually I'll draw some gas, and I'm still favored as it stands. So he decides to put the third counter on Ballista and basically eat one of the zombies. He takes 2, which is fine for me. Basically, kind of provokes some actions from his side. Although now if he draws into, I don't know, removal, attack with both Quagmire and Ballista, then I block with Shambling Vent or something. It could be tricky, it could be. But I think one removal is not enough. Because I've been monitoring how hellbent he was throughout the game. So that's relevant, just trying to play around stuff, around his top decks. Luckily, his deck doesn't involve, you know, stuff like Black Hulk, at least not main deck. That would be a different thing. So before blocks, he killed my Rallier. Now this Quagmire is attacking, I can trade it off with my Vent. I think he played the land before doing all this, so that's why it was a safe block. Gained a couple lives in the process, which is really big here. He's 4 mana up, so he can put a second counter on Ballista, but without snakes it's all just way too slow. I was just checking how much the ultimate was and stuff like that, I think. Anyways, oh yeah, what he did was actually ping Soaring on the upkeep so that I don't get to ultimate it, because then I think he can't really win anymore. I think that was Soren drawing Nissa, and now basically I can do whatever. He's just at 2. I can just, you know, so cast Vessel, crack Vessel, activates Revolt and Rallier. Rallier brings back Concoction. I kill the Ballista, attack with the 2/2, he's dead. Or I can just play Nissa, animate a land, and that's 2 attackers for his 1. So that's about it. Very interesting deck, I'm really proud of it. I'm not sure if you want Heart of Kiran in it, maybe you do, but definitely not all 4, maybe like 2 or 3, or maybe just 1 is okay. It's just that there's so much you hate, you will probably like often side it out, because you don't really have that many creatures to actually crew it up. Advocate is awkward in that sense. Of course you could have Gideon and then so on. Of course you can crew it up with the Planeswalkers, but you don't play all a huge amount of them. There is a chance maybe you would want to play well, 1 in the sideboard because you board in more Planeswalkers, but I don't know, it's strange. So it definitely probably belongs somewhere in the 75 in this deck, but I'm not sure whether it's not necessary and how many copies. But you could try. Also, it's a pain like to try to find space for it, because you want all the removals. I really like Unmakings in this deck. All the other cheap removals. I like the Slaughter main deck. I like Carrington Field main deck. Of course, you have additional copies in the sideboard. But I don't know, just really awesome cards for me. So it's hard to find space. You want all the dig spells, because if you run a last, then your Rallier does much less, and you don't have enough draw or ways to activate Revolt, stuff like that. Because especially in this deck, you do want to activate Fatal Push quite often, I think. Even though just like that it's okay. Okay guys, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you enjoy this. Next time it's Blue-White Reservoir versus probably Black-Green sometime next week. So until the next sale, goodbye folks.